Pace car makes that hard left turn to pit road. McDowell chose the outside. He and Cindric, two Mustangs, lead them to green.
Where'd my outside line go, Kevin?
Well, they had the start coordinated between the two Fords of Austin Cindric and Michael McDowell for Michael McDowell to take off and come down in front of Austin Cindric so that they were lined up early.
RC Keselowski hung out on the outside. 3 wide. The crossover, letting McDowell in, getting established on that bottom. It was effective.
And the one thing I always liked being in race 2 was I got to watch race 1 and learn the characteristics of some of the cars so that I knew what to expect. I always felt like in race 2 of the duels, I could be more aggressive right off the bat because I knew what those characteristics were. And you know, even if you didn't have a teammate or something in the first race, you could watch and learn and see what was going on.
You sound like those guys at the start of overtime with the Super Bowl going, they want the ball? They want to go first?
Yeah.
I want to go second. And here's your chance.
But all the same things apply in this particular race. You know, you're filling out your car. You're, you know, deciding how aggressive that you can be with the way that it hits the ground, or if it's not hitting the ground, and doing all the things early here to be comfortable to start giving that guy in front of you a little push, giving that guy a little side draft, trying to do the things that you know you need to do in order to keep your car up front or advance forward.
If there's ever a team and organization that has the upper hand here, it's Stewart-Haas. Stewart-Haas Racing has all 4 of their hot rods in this race. Can they find one another?
Well, they have just to clarify, Riley Herbst is in an alliance with them and has the Xfinity cars, so I kind of lumped those in there.
Correct. Ryan Preece was in the first race,
That's
but
right.
There are 4 cars fielded by Stewart-Haas in this one. You're right.
That's right. So your math is good.
Car was, I can tell you, that Herbst car and Ty Gibbs's car is exactly the same. I thought Ty Gibbs just said, heck, I'm going to get in this one too. That's going to be a tough one.
You got the Vegas posse on the outside, 2 of the 3 of them. See where Zane Smith goes, but there are Riley Herbst and Noah Gragson right up there together.
Yeah, great story with all those guys growing up together and racing out the West Coast boys. Good kids.
Larry?
Yeah, I go back to the start of that race with Michael McDowell in the 34, Austin Cindric in the 2. Yeah, they're both Ford drivers, but it was announced today, not only did Front Row Motorsports sign an extension with Ford, but they also have an alliance with Team Penske, so they truly are like another Team Penske car.
So that was a welcome to the family moment?
Yes, sir.
Well,
come on in.
Yeah, welcome to the big boy table, right?
And they've earned it. Michael McDowell and his team have done a great job as we see William Byron and Kyle Busch change lanes there to try to line some of those Chevys up together at the front of the line.
McDowell
on the outside.
Sorry,
Clint.
He's going to be forced. I saw it. He got out quite a bit on the leaders there. He's forced to make a block. Chose the outside.
Michael McDowell has raced at Daytona for 14, now 15 years. It's the first time he's led a duel.
I thought he'd move back down and get in front of these Fords on the bottom here.
There's some William Byron radio.
It's saved. It's a Scos 4. Nothing coming right now.
We're saving already, boys.
Yeah, and you know, I know that it's an interesting topic to talk about, but if you can save some gas, your pit stop's going to be faster, and that's really the balancing act of staying up front and let's have the fastest pit stop.
Yeah, it really isn't about just getting to that lap, getting to the number. It might be, right? That might have to play an effect, but it's about that pit stop.
Yeah, and here's the story right here. You look at the throttle up in the corner here of William Byron. He's the lead car, and he's actually letting out of the throttle, trying to dictate the speed of that line, and letting the second place car of Kyle Busch really push him forward and try to make him do all the work. Kyle's 100%. being that second place car. You have a lot of responsibility being that second place car, trying to stay as close as you can. And when you're able to push that lead car out there, and you know, it allows your line to start gaining speed. And then as the leader, the second place car will push you out there, and the leader will drag the brake or let off the gas a little bit to try to keep that distance as close as possible to keep dragging that line forward.
Looking back here in the pack a little bit longer, riding with Christopher Bell, you saw Bubba Wallace there, and even Denny Hamlin. I was kind of keeping an eye on those guys. Not those big movers like we saw in the first duel, gaining 12, 13 spots.
Yeah, and as we go back further in the pack right here, you see Bubba, he's able to run 50% throttle. And I know you're thinking at home, what in the world? Why is he half throttle? Well, with all the air and the accordion effect and everything that goes on with these cars, he can just try to keep a steady gap and hold that thing about 50%. And he's really going to save some fuel in order to work on that pit stop speed that we know, if they don't have an early caution, is going to dictate where you come out on off of pit road when you put fuel in the car, because they're not going to change tires unless they screw something up.
BJ McLeod on the right there of Denny Hamlin. Hamlin trying to move up a spot, and McLeod just trying to keep David Reagan in sight at this point. Here's Bubba Wallace's team.
Joey pulled up, blocked the top. Impressive that Joey's running both races. Who is that? Oh, 34. Look at that. It's a big track, man. Give me a break. If you're a little closer to the front, I could probably see him better.
Yeah, those two yellow cars look a lot alike.
Well, and that's when you know you're really close when you're a spotter, when he can fire back at you and you're not mad.
That's Freddie Kraft.
Yeah.
But that's also a loose, right? I love that. I love that banner back and forth, loosens you up in that race car.
And I know you're looking at all these percentages and you're looking at everything. We're trying to show you the strategies that come along with running these races, especially at the beginning, to be able to put yourself in a good position at halfway to pit and race towards the end of the race hard.
Tell you what, these Vegas boys came to play. Marching right up to the front, inching in on the leaders here on the outside.
And you see William Byron kind of going up the racetrack, trying to block that bubble of air to keep those guys pushed back there that are coming up on the outside line, and then right back to the bottom where he wants to be with his teammate. But that outside line's coming.
10 laps complete. William Byron out front. Riley Herbst trying to take the lead from him. And everybody, all 21 cars, back to Kaz Grala in the lead draft at Daytona. We stay green as we welcome you back to the Blue-Green Vacation Duel, race number 2. Riley Herbst, Noah Gragson, William Byron as you watch them from our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Powering every lap, every mile, and every victory on the road ahead. Goodyear, more driven. This field this year is so jumbled up, and I don't just mean race 2. 13 drivers in different places from last year, 11 crew chief changes, 17 spotter changes over the entire field.
Yeah, and the key word there is spotter at this particular race. Learning a new spotter. We talked about Brian Blaney and his situation, but there are several other teams that are in a position to learn their new spotters, and it's so important to get in a rhythm here.
Riley Herbst,
Whoa,
little shot there. Noah Gragson.
Pretty treacherous place right off of the exit of turn 4 to be that tight.
Turn 4, you always want that car to be pointed as straight as possible when you come up off the corner, and Noah is being really aggressive in pushing, and Riley has experience. He ran the super speedway races last year, did a great job. I raced around him a lot, part-time in the Cup Series, and on all of those races he ran in the front of the field.
Well, let's go to the other end of the field where are 2 of the RFK Fords, David Reagan and Brad Keselowski. Josh?
Yeah, Brad Keselowski started 12th. You'll notice he's all the way in the back of the pack at 21st. Checked with the team, told me that's just part of the plan. You'll also notice, of course, his teammate David Reagan right in front of him. It's all part of the plan for RFK.
What do you think about that plan, Clint?
That's the plan?
Well,
I don't know.
Stay out of trouble and hope it doesn't find you.
I bet the plan changes after this pit stop, whenever this pit stop is.
A.J. Allmendinger spent last year in the Cup Series, had some success, veteran road racer. He's raced open wheel, he's raced NASCAR. He's going to run the entire Xfinity Series and make selected starts here in the Cup Series, including the 500 on Sunday.
Nothing to lose, no points on the line. He is going for it. Expect it tonight, expect it Sunday.
A new dad since we last raced here. Congratulations to the Allmendingers.
Well, we see the second place car of William Byron there in the 24 and Kyle Busch right behind him. You saw him down the back straightaway, Clint. Like they're like, all right, we gotta go. And they did a little bit of pushing and shoving, and that's what you got to do in order to advance that line. And you never know until those hood flaps wave at you. You're doing a good job.
The other thing I've been noticing, I'm watching Bubba Wallace and Christopher Bell, you know, bumper to bumper there. They're just moving to the front slowly but surely. What happened that first race, the first duel, the Toyotas just slowly start showing up.
Let's have a look at the Xfinity fastest lap of this race so far. A familiar number at the top of that chart. Josh Berry, 192.4. So, longtime number 4 driver, Kevin Harvick. Your replacement right there. Replacement's the wrong word, but the fellow who stepped into that seat when you vacated it. What's his job here tonight?
His job is to log laps, and really the pressure is going to be this first green flag pit stop to figure out how to navigate that. I know he's done all that in the Xfinity cars, but this car is different. This Cup car that we've run the last 2 years, it brakes different, it steers different, and he just needs to be in the middle of everything, learning and making all the things that he needs to check off of that list happen. And so that means completing the whole race.
Now we're going to see what these Toyotas have on the outside. Saw Noah Gragson move down to that second slot on the inside. Let's see if Bubba Wallace and company can move up, take the lead.
Jamie.
Mike, I can guarantee there's a lot of people very happy in Las Vegas right now. The 2 Vegas kids out front, Riley Herbst, Noah Gragson. These 2 grew up racing together at the Bull Ring right outside of Las Vegas Motor Speedway since they were little boys. Now here they are racing side by side at Daytona. And Riley told me, he said, my goal is to get here full time, but I've got to prove myself. He's racing 4 times this year, and he said, I need to win more in Xfinity. But man, he is doing everything he needs to do right now.
He is doing a great job at the head of this field. Now in the battle to get in the race, look who's in 7th place, B.J. McLeod. And that black car doesn't have a single sponsor decal on it. McLeod wants to make the race. Hope that'll find him some sponsorship for Sunday.
Yeah, speaking of doing what you're supposed to do, he's knocking out of the park right now. All systems go. Fast car, making good moves. Riley's going to have a decision to make here. He's going to have a tough time keeping these boys behind him on the outside.
Well, the problem that he's got right now is now the second place car is clear. So he's got to decide when they make this next run and they pull that outside line back, do I drop and block or do I stay up? And he's chosen to stay up in front of the Toyotas.
Working lap 21. A couple of the young guns, Riley Herbst and Noah Gragson, leading at Daytona. Next on FS1, the Fox Sports original, I Am Kevin Harvick. A documentary taking you through his legendary career on and off the track. Coming up next on FS1. Toyota's out front, Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell at 24 laps. Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, Noah Gragson, the three Vegas boys, all right together, 3, 4, 5, and BJ McLeod right with them. Regan.
Mike William Byron sliding back just a little bit right now in the 9th position. Happy with the race car, but not happy with something inside of the race car.
I can't move my head to see the mirror. That's the only thing I'm pissed off about. Copy that. Just stay in it for us. I'll get you fixed for Sunday.
Well, one thing that's happened over the past couple years with the concussions and all the things that have happened with the way that these cars wreck, they've tightened that head foam up to where you have a minimum clearance that you have beside your helmet. So a lot of these guys are in the car for the first time feeling that out under race conditions, and sometimes it makes you feel a little bit claustrophobic sitting in a position that you hadn't been in before.
Well, tell me about that difference between your race seating position and your qualifying seating position last night.
Takes you back to the shop, though. That got set up in the shop, man. I think that's good. I love it. I dig it. Everything's perfect. Take her to the racetrack. Didn't really look at it in qualifying. You just looked out the windshield. Now, all of a sudden, Oh, no, I can't see out the mirror, which is the most impactful position you have. What's in your mirror is everything. We saw that with Jimmy Johnson.
But that's one of the big reasons that you want to run in this race and do everything you can to try to race it like it's going to be the Daytona 500, to be able to get all those bugs worked out, whether it's handling or mirrors or whatever it is.
Now look at the big guns here. Regan mentioned Byron back in 9th. Kyle Busch in 11th. Ryan Blaney, the champion, 15th. Denny Hamlin, 17th. Brad Keselowski way back there. Is this a case of the champs letting the boys play out front for a while?
Just patience is what I see. Just patience.
I like track position.
Oh, I know.
Come on, Clint. I'm trying to build a story here.
But we're turning lap 28, coming to 28 here. Larry's already told us 35, 40, somewhere in there is going to pit, and that's going to shake everything up exactly like it did in the first one.
Everyone who's ever listened to this broadcast knows that you're not patient. So
right.
now you're patient?
No, what I'm telling you is I really want to get to lap 36 and see this.
Yeah. You see Christopher Bell's camera and looking back at Zane Smith. We haven't given Zane a shout out. He's done a great job from deep in the field up into the 4th position.
Yeah, he started 18th.
You can brag on him all you want. The car right behind him, BJ McLeod, is the guy. Unbelievable job to get that thing up front. It's awesome to see that.
So last year, McLeod's team had a charter. It was guaranteed in every race. At the end of the season, they sold that charter, and they're going to run a limited schedule as an open car. They've also got a full-time Xfinity team. He's a really good businessman. Love to hear him. We had him up in the booth during qualifying at one race this year. Gave a great explanation of how you try to make it as a smaller team in this sport, and he's done well. He's got a chance to race on Sunday here.
And the one thing that I will tell you about BJ McLeod is every driver in this field likes him because he is a genuinely good guy. He loves racing. So when it comes down to I got to make a choice to push, there's going to be a lot of guys that want to push BJ McLeod into this race.
Now, I sold him a charter. I don't probably down here with limited friends and buddies and everything else. Who's going to pit my car here, boys?
And you asked who will pit BJ McLeod's car? A bunch of guys they found off the road or in the infield? No. Hendrick Motorsports is providing his crew tonight and Sunday.
We'll be fine.
Yep.
All right, 29 laps complete. We're going to take halfway, and you'll see it all and not miss a moment as we go Fox side by side, coming to halfway in duel number 2. 28 laps to go. If you had B.J. McLeod running in the top 3 at halfway in this duel at Daytona, we'll pour one out and give yourself a pat on the back. How about that?
Looking good so far. Rolling.
Unsponsored independent driver trying to make his way into the Daytona 500.
It's all going to come down to the execution of this transition to the pit stop when it happens, in my opinion. It's just going to be the execution of the braking and into the stall and everything that he needs to do to stay with the pack and in the right end of it anyway.
After last night, we all left scratching our heads. Where are the Toyotas? I am sold. Trust me, they're fine, folks. Daytona 500, optimistic. These cars are extremely fast. All of them have marched to the front. Salt in the first one, a Truex. You see Bubba Wallace, Bell behind him. Hamlin coming, I promise.
Well, tonight's sequel to that may be Where Are the Fords? They are here in huge numbers, and we thought they might get to the front and dominate. So far, that's not been the case.
Well, Larry, what's changed with both manufacturers?
Yeah, the Toyota and the Ford, complete new body, new Camry for the Toyota, the Ford Dark Horse Mustang. These are really the first competitive race laps of any type they've turned.
And that's why we run the race. You got to get out on the racetrack to see what you have. You can only go through the CFD and the wind tunnel and all those things so many times. The racetrack tells the tale.
Bubba Wallace had only led 3 laps in the dual races before this evening. He's been out front for 14 circuits right now. 7 for Riley Herbst, 6 laps led for Michael McDowell. Jamie.
Michael McDowell started on pole for this race, and he led 6 laps, but he's been slipping back, and he's been radioing to his spotter, tell the 2 of Austin Cindric, I want to drop back. Austin said no, so he just tried again. Austin said no, so he's kind of stuck, sitting right where he is with Austin right behind him.
Yeah, again, folks, guaranteed starting position on the outside front row of the Daytona 500 on Sunday. Man, that is, you are the meat in a sandwich right now. Starting to clean back up on that outside line a little bit. Can't tear this car up.
We see those Toyotas change lane down to the bottom of the racetrack, and usually that's an indication that we're getting close to pit stops as the cars try to position themselves at the bottom of the racetrack, and maybe we're going to see this strategy start to play out here in the next couple laps.
Tell all sign usually.
Well, of course, Larry, the later you stop, the less gas you need.
Well, and again, we think they've been saving some fuel. You see the pit crew's getting ready right there. That's Bubba Wallace's pit crew. I still think we're going to see them probably go another 4 to 5 laps if it duplicates the first duel, Mike.
And as we talked about in the first duel, usually the driver has a sheet taped on his dash or taped on one of the bars, and it's usually covered up so nobody can see it. And then as the driver gets in and takes off, or he rips the tape off, or they talk about it beforehand, or they have code words or whatever that is. So the strategy kind of unfolds in front of us all as we see things start to move around.
All right, let's think about it. These Toyotas are showing their hand. They might be pitting here sooner than later. Are the Fords going to try to run long, strategize? Is that what Brad Keselowski was talking about?
I think you see these Toyotas, all 2 of them. If they only pit together, do they have a good enough draft to be able to run everybody else down, or do they need to pit with the Chevrolets?
It's an interesting conversation because of the fact that they do have so few numbers, but they have a lot of speed.
I think he was reaching over and adjusting brake right there. It's telling me he's getting ready for this pit.
Remind you what happened in duel number 1 when one group of cars tried to pit and not everybody got the message.
Yeah, it looked like Martin Truex wasn't coming to pit road, and all the Toyotas tried to get everything situated so that they were all on the same page, and in the end they were not, and that's what caused all the chaos and tore up a few cars and got everybody all mixed up.
Now there are 4 Toyotas in this race, but 2 of them, Hamlin and Nemechek, well toward the back, while Wallace and Bell lead. There are 5 Chevrolets, 2 together and then 3 further back. The rest of the field are Mustangs.
Yeah, Mike, I don't know what the front 2 Toyotas are planning on right now. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, it sounds like he's going to do exactly what he told me today. He's going to come probably here in the next lap or two, maybe around lap 40.
Well, that's the car that they're showing his teammates. Bubba Wallace, Christopher Bell up front. But I've still got my eyes on these Fords. I think they're going to run long.
Yeah, and I think they a lot of it just depends on how this cycle to pit road goes, and if it's clean or if it's mixed up. And you see Justin Haley right there in third place, treetop on the front of that car. This kid does a great job no matter what he's doing and where he's racing on a super speedway. He's won a race here at Daytona, but just a great racer on the super speedways.
Everybody dropping back in that top lane. You can't pit from the top lane.
BJ McLeod, one little mishap off of turn 4. Man, we really went backwards, got stuck in the middle, shucked out of there. And I think these Toyotas are coming.
McLeod now stuck back with Reagan and Gralla, the cars that he is battling to get in the show. And away from Bubba Wallace to the car behind him, Christopher Bell. Pit stop could be this time. Let's see.
Not this time, boys. Another lap. Man, BJ McLeod all the way to the rear. Did such a good job getting that thing to the front. Still be patient. Stay in this thing. Good pit stop.
Yeah, we talk about the wave, and sometimes you try to fake the other guy out, and some people say things on the radio to try to make the other teams are doing something different. And you know, we talk about the wave that Bubba may have had there that we didn't see, and talked about he might have just waved to try to fake him out.
Now they're only using every other pit box because this is only half the field. They could all stop together. It won't be on this lap, but it won't be real calamity if everybody comes to pit road at the same time.
I don't know, Mike. That's a lot of cars.
Yeah. Regan.
Well, Mike, about 2 laps ago, the 51 and Justin Haley asked what lap they were going to pit. They said lap 44. The problem was Justin didn't know what lap they were on in the race. He said, you got to tell me what lap we're on right now. Let's see if they make it to lap 44 or not.
Pit this time, pit this time.
Much better. I got that one. I understand this.
Was the leader, Bubba Wallace. So the big question is, how many cars will come with him?
The big question is, absolutely, do the cars behind him know that they're pitting? Don't stack it up behind him.
Yeah, he gets down off track quickly. This is much better organized than in race number 1. 8 cars pitting. Josh.
Start with the 20 of Christopher Bell. The only real complaint for him is a little bit free in the tri-oval as far as the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Most laps he's ever led in a duel with 21 in this race as he looks for his first win in the duel.
BJ McLeod has made his stop, trying to make the show, and it looks like most of them will come out together. 2 packs, a 5 and a 3. All right, McDowell now the leader. 5 Fords in front of Denny Hamlin's Toyota. Then 2 more Fords. Will they come this lap?
Yes.
Yes.
Not all of them.
Nope. Again, 8 cars headed for pit road. Regan.
Mike, the 71 is Zane Smith getting ready to make his second start in the Daytona 500 after tonight. He told me earlier that this race right now way less stressful than last year when he had to race in, and it's been that way on the radio. Very calm, hasn't said a word. Jamie?
Austin Cindric, Michael McDowell both pull into their pit box. They've been working together. You saw them light them up on pit road. They want to take care of their tires. Just enough fuel here to make it to the end.
That will leave 5 cars on the racetrack that have not pitted, led by Harrison Burton, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski. They're all Fords. David Reagan, Kaz Gralla. And they're all in this time, it looks like. Zane Smith, too fast exiting pit road. That'll be a drive-through penalty at pit road speed.
Yeah, and you see the pack zigging and zagging, trying to get everything formed back up. You got cars that are going fast, cars that are coming out of the pits that are trying to get in front of the other cars, and William Byron in the 24 car.
They were a lot more collected, weren't they? Byron, Bubba Wallace, and Bell all collected pretty tight. They're going to run this group down and make a pass.
And David Reagan may have trouble catching up with the group of cars he just pitted with.
Yeah, and this pack is going to catch these slower cars coming to the back straightaway.
Looking from Ryan Blaney, and here they come on the high side.
Yeah, and their job, Ryan Blaney and Brad Keselowski, is to, what do we have to do to mix these guys up if we don't think we're going too slow, but they're going to let them go by. A lot of times what you'll do is you'll try to get in front of the line that's coming to make them have to pull down the racetrack in order to zig and zag to break that group up. As you see Michael McDowell at the front of that pack.
You know who's right behind him? Denny Hamlin. Where did he come from?
Cindric to the inside on Chase Briscoe.
Save that fuel riding around in the back that you talked about. You harped on us, Kevin, and that's exactly what you just saw with Denny Hamlin. Quick pit stop, put him right up front, right where he needed to be.
And right now, David Reagan and B.J. McLeod would transfer into the 500. Kaz Grala has lost the draft. What happened to him, Larry?
Just looked like to me it was a slow stop. He was way behind everyone he pitted with, and he lost the draft, actually leaving pit road.
Here's our aerial coverage from Goodyear, powering every mile and every moment on NASCAR's road to victory. Goodyear, more driven.
You got to give it to him, guys. The man's good. He's good on this racetrack. Experience pays off. Denny Hamlin gained 15 spots on that exchange of a pit stop.
And there's a lot to that. It's getting to pit road. It's getting into your pit box. But the biggest key to that is, like you talked, saving that fuel at the back of the pack and running half throttle. Just allow that time to be so much quicker. And now he's in position to have a chance to win this race up front.
And look who they're chasing once again. Daytona 500 winner Michael McDowell.
It's a good thing he didn't do what he wanted to do and listen to Austin Cindric. Yeah, now he finds himself up there leading the race.
Blaney went to move up, make a pass. Byron blocked him, got him really stacked up.
Byron Blaney
Turned him
into
around.
the wall.
Kyle Busch.
And just like last year, Blaney gets caught up in the big one.
Looks like he's getting out okay. Saw it coming. He made the move. Byron made the block, and it just got him stacked up behind him and started tank swapping, and it was gone.
Noah Gragson, Blaney walks away from his car. He is okay. The AMR safety crew quickly on the scene. Oh, Riley Herbst's race ends early.
That was a big shot for Blaney.
And damage on the right front for B.J. McLeod.
Haley, a lot of damage on his car. McLeod's the one that really needed to get through there unscathed. Unfortunately, did not.
I tell you.
So David Reagan, who is guaranteed into the race on time, unless of course he races in. He is the first of those open cars right now. Then Kaz Grala. Noah Gragson out. At least half a dozen cars involved here. Kyle Busch.
What a bummer. Had a good car. Don't count him out, though. That's 2 years in a row on these duels. All right, it all starts. I saw it starts with the Blaney behind William Byron. He goes to make a move. Byron with a big block. Watch this. Kind of a late block. Got him stacked up. Went back to the bottom. Side draft, and then just stacked him up behind him.
Kyle Busch got into the back of the 24 and turned him sideways.
And did Brad Keselowski get into the back of Kyle Busch?
Tore up a lot of good race cars, Clint. Man, you hate to see that in these qualifying races.
Yeah, Keselowski, as you mentioned, he was right there in the middle of it as well. See.
Yeah, and I think this is going to start with this car right here. Blaney's going to pull up.
Yeah, but
and what's going to happen here is Brad Keselowski's into the back of the 8, who you can see the flames
lifting,
coming out of Kyle Busch's car, trying to keep from getting into the back of the 24, but the 6 is pushing Kyle Busch so hard that he can't get checked up. You saw the flames come out of the pipes.
Doesn't take much. That movement, as soon as he moved and made it, it was kind of a late block, but it was still a good block. And when Blaney went back down to the bottom, it just stacked them up and they run them over from behind. You saw them all lift, just like you said. Flames tell all sign when they come out of those pipes that they're lifting, but it accordions fast when at 200 miles an hour. This 12 car, Ryan Blaney, he's the one that took the shot.
Oh,
that's a heavy hit. Right rear, right into the wall, head on like that. Doesn't get any harder, Kevin.
That is one of the hardest hits that you can take in a race car when you get turned in the middle of the straightaway, right front into the wall. And it is so violent. And I'm so happy to see him put that window net down quick. I know the car was on fire and he was in a hurry, but you could hear it in his voice how bad it hurt. And you're going to see him shoot up right here.
Yeah. You hear him go back to the gas, saving grace. Thank goodness for that wall. You saw the energy that it absorbed on that outside safer barrier.
Yeah, and there's a couple cars that sneak through there. Yeah, great.
I saw B.J. McLeod get hit 4 different times in that melee. At least 11 cars involved with 13 laps to go in Daytona. Red flag at Daytona with 13 laps to go. Here are the cars officially involved in the collision, some of which are on the rollback and headed for the garage. A lot of cleanup between turn 4 and the entrance to the tri-oval. We'll get back to racing just as soon as the track is clean and clear to do so. Coming up next on FS1 after the race, the premiere of the Fox Sports original documentary, I Am Kevin Harvick. Let's have a sneak peek.
This is my favorite question. My favorite question is, what if you'd have changed this, or what if you'd have changed that? Do you accomplish the same things? Do you win the same amount of races? Do you retire 10 years ago? I don't know.
Well, let's take a look back at Kevin Harvick's legendary career.
When you look back at everything that took place.
He began his career in the shadow of a legend.
If we'd have struggled the first year, it could have been a short career. I mean, it could have easily gone that way.
I would hope that you guys don't expect me to replace him, because nobody ever will.
You know, if you don't win, how soon do they start the pressure cooker of, is he the right guy? I probably wouldn't react to that very well.
I remember thinking, man, how's this young man doing this?
I would never, ever, ever, ever tell people any weaknesses that I had. But winning cures a lot of problems.
He's going to win the race and the championship. Here comes Kevin.
The reaction's always calculated. That was all show. I've always been pretty big on people not knowing who you are. It was always about not wanting to show weakness.
Go, Piper, go!
You don't have to tell the whole story.
This one's going to be a good one.
If I'm going to share something, it's going to be worth being shared.
The California kid, Kevin Harvick.
Stay tuned for I Am Kevin Harvick next right here on FS1. We all know how you made your Cup Series debut after we lost Dale Earnhardt here at Daytona in 2001. But I think what most people don't know is you were scheduled to make your Cup debut anyway at Atlanta that spring for Richard Childress.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, and you are correct. I was supposed to drive the number 30 AOL car in my first race at Atlanta. So it's interesting and crazy how all those sequences of events played out. But what a piece that we were able to do with all the old footage and some of the things that we found on old VHS tapes and things that they put into that documentary, and go back to how we ended the career to how it started and tie all that stuff together with where we are in life now. So it was a great journey. Wouldn't trade it for much, and I was very fortunate to have some great results to go with it.
Can you believe you beat Jeff Gordon that day in Atlanta? Because I know Jeff Gordon still doesn't believe it.
Yeah, you know what I can't believe is that we're up here calling a race together, and you called my first one.
It was quite a day.
It was. Oh, that means he's getting old? Is that what you were just saying? That was a dig, Mike.
Everything.
Here's what I love.
Everything in here is an old guy joke.
My favorite part of that whole thing is how you transferred from this angry young man to the guy that you are now. Like those early days when you were mad every week and jumping over cars and in fights. Gosh, I miss that. Can you please bring that back?
It was a good show. I don't know that my body will permit me to do that anymore.
All right, Ryan Blaney is with Josh.
Ryan Blaney checked and released from the infield care center. Ryan, what happened there from your perspective?
I have no idea. I saw the replay, and it looks like a terrible push once again. Right, gets me right reared into the wall. So I don't know who it was, who it stems from. 6 in the back of the 8, 8's left, and I get hooked. So shitty pushes by people 3 times in a row in Daytona, and got a wrecked race car. So I'm getting pretty sick of getting right reared by someone's awful push. So it's unfortunate we got to build a whole new 500 car, but we had a fast Menards Peak Ford Mustang tonight. Just shame it's ruined by someone else.
Thanks, Ryan. Glad you're okay.
Thanks, Josh. Reporting from the Advent Health Care Center. Now he was talking about Brad Keselowski getting into Kyle Busch. Here's Brad's radio.
From what I could tell, Brad, in front of you, the 8 was moving up the track a little bit, and the 24 was coming down. And when he hit him just a little bit, it instantly turned him. Yeah, copy. I didn't know the 24 was in front of the 8. Like, had half a foot gap, but when they started all checking up, it just all crumpled quick. Yeah, 10-4.
And as a driver in the position that Brad was in that line, he was doing his job. And you know when you see Brad, who's here behind the 8 car. He's doing what he thinks he's supposed to do, and the spotter should be telling him that you know, half a car on
Look how
him.
fast they're catching.
Yeah, and you see the flames coming out of the pipe right there, and then the same thing out of the 6 car. But it's you know, it's a tough spot because you have all that momentum. We're getting closer to the end of the race, and you gotta push, and the spotter. Part of his responsibility is making sure that he's telling you what that gap is in front of the car that you're pushing. Josh?
Kyle Busch checked and released from the infield care center. Kyle, what happened there from your perspective, and what did you see on the replay as well?
Was getting a push a little bit from the 6 there, and the 24 I saw kind of got messed up out of line and slowed down. I tried to lift and roll out of the gas smoothly, and I was still gaining too fast, and then I got all the way out of the gas and got bumped again from behind, and just accordioned into the 24 and sent him spinning. You don't want to hit a guy in a tri-oval. I've been there, I've done that, and I've also rolled out of here in an ambulance before doing that. So I know it's not the right thing to do, but sometimes you don't have a choice, and you know, it turned the 24 sideways and caused a wreck. So you know, our zone Camaro was pretty fast. I felt good about it. Couldn't really make any moves though, man. What a frustrating race. Just sitting in line, saving fuel, stuck on the bottom, can't go anywhere. You get back in line, you want to go forward, and we were taking the momentum, whichever way the momentum was coming, and yeah, just end up wrecked.
Thanks, Kyle.
Noah Gregson released from the care center. Also Riley Herbst after that crash. I was looking at Brad's car, and when he made that contact with Kyle, a lot of flames out the pipes. He too was off the gas trying to get that car slowed.
Look at the list of drivers that were in that wreck. All experienced veteran drivers. They were all making moves. That's Daytona. That's plate style racing, and it's going to happen. It's happened for years, and it's going to continue to happen. It'll happen on Sunday. Might happen by the end of this race. You can't place blame on anybody. They were trying to make moves. Blaney was making a move. Byron was making a move. Those guys were certainly coming up on them. Kevin, your old car won't start.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly why it won't start, but I would tell you that what I would do in the checklist right now. Yeah, he's talking him through his switches, but I would go straight to the main power switch, turn it off. It's like a computer. You got to recycle you got to reboot the whole system, turn it back on, recycle everything, and try to fire it. If not, then I don't know where to go from there. I'm going to need somebody smarter than me.
Ryan Blaney's car dropped off at his hauler. And another look at that impact in real time, both from our camera there on pit road and from on board.
Oh my gosh.
And now let's go on board.
So fast.
Kevin, you said something earlier in the week about these Gen 7 cars. You said these cars crash really hard.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, you see his head bouncing around, and we talked earlier about the foam that they put around the driver's head and his Hans straps. But if we put that in slow motion and we saw that driver's head move forward, it's his whole body. And it is as violent as anything I've ever crashed in my whole career. And NASCAR and the teams have done a great job in implementing the foam and the shorter Hans straps and making sure they do visits to the shop over the winter. And as we slow this down, I want you to just watch his body. Oh, and that's why those headrests are so long. You see the seat move. You see that the reason that headrest is so long is when he goes forward like that is to keep his head from going outside. You see his head impacting the foam. And as a driver, I mean, it happens really quick, but it is so violent.
Did a good job letting go on that steering wheel.
Look at the number of shoulder injuries we've seen with these full containment seats, all doing their job. It used to be we saw a lot of rib cage injuries with the old seats, but now we're seeing drivers with shoulder surgeries in the off season.
Extremely, a lot of science went into these cars, a lot of safety, but these guys are tough. Saw it with Priest. Look at the wreck that he had here last year. Ryan Blaney. These guys are tough. They're gladiators in these cars. They work out. They train for these. The kid's physically fit. He's a champion, and he'll be ready for Sunday.
And that's why you train. Everybody talks about, oh, you know, this sport doesn't take athletic drivers, and this is why you go through the regimen and the workout and the stretching and everything that you do. It's for those huge, massive impacts like that, so that you don't have the injury to go along with it by being out of shape and not being flexible. But that is as big a hit as you're going to take that Ryan Blaney just took.
Ten laps to go, and Kaz Grala is in position now to race into the Daytona 500. He is 7th overall, ahead of David Reagan and B.J. McLeod. Saturday on Fox Primetime Hoops, another chapter in a Big Ten rivalry, as Tyson Walker leads Michigan State in a showdown against Michigan. It all tips off at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Fox and the Fox Sports app. "21 cars started, 16 remain. Half the cars involved in that collision are off the track."
Well, let's talk real quick about backup cars. And usually, I know with Stewart Haas Racing, there might be one backup car in the trailer, but usually in a situation like this, the car, one of the extra cars, when you wreck multiple cars, the extra cars will come from the shop that are semi-prepared to come down to the racetrack. So there will definitely need to be a few race cars that are maybe not in the haulers that have to be delivered to the racetrack. And Ryan Blaney's car that one's totaled.
Getting set for the restart, Michael McDowell, Denny Hamlin, Austin Cindric, Christopher Bell. Here's some audio from Team 11.
Make sure the 42 knows that he's a very important part of this equation. He's got to stay aggressive on the 20. Copy.
3 Toyotas lined up on the bottom. They also have Bubba Wallace out back in 16th place. three Fords rather, Smith, Allmendinger, Byron, and McLeod, 4 of them. The rest are Fords.
And what Denny is talking about is the responsibility of that third place driver to maintain that gap as close as possible to second. And the second place guy is the one that is responsible for pushing the first place car. So you all have a responsibility. Everybody has a responsibility in their gaps.
We'll have 8 laps to run. Cars that were in the accident go to the tail end of the longest line. That's why the inside lane is so much shorter than the outside. Here we go.
It's weird.
Toyota's on the bottom, Ford's up top.
That was a weird restart with all those cars on the outside, and it looked like the inside line wasn't going. All of a sudden, here comes that outside line with all those cars.
Comes a huge run by McDowell off the bumper. Cindric on that outside. That was a quick move right there. Heads up move.
And look at that 36, Kaz Gralla, trying to race his way into the top Daytona 500, and he moves into 5th position. BJ McLeod at the back, his car damaged in that accident, has got to get to Gralla or go home.
Yeah, we see on this restart in the replay right here, you'll see the flames come out of Denny Hamlin's pipe like he got on the rev limiter or missed a shift right there, Clint. That line was already short.
Then stacked him up even
worse.
Then
stacked him up a little bit worse.
A missed shift with this new gearbox is pretty uncommon, though, isn't it?
A lot of it just depends on the style of shifting that you're doing. A lot of them are doing no lift shifts where they'll hold the car wide open and it shifts off the rev limiter, and sometimes that shifter gets a little bit sticky, so you don't really know what everybody's got going on, as we see the 14 car of Chase Briscoe on the outside there going all the way to the back.
Even that would show flames, though, like a no lift shift, like you were saying. Hitting that rev limiter. Some really close slide drafting by Bell and Cindric right there in the second line.
Coming to 5 to go. McDowell aggressively trying to keep those cars on the inside close, side to side.
Austin Cindric doing a great job of being a pusher on the outside lane, and we saw the third car in the outside lane there of Brad Keselowski coming through the tri-oval, doing exactly what he did with Kyle Busch. You have to shake off what just happened and still be in there and be aggressive and be a good pusher, because that's what it takes to go forward in this style of racing.
I don't know if there's damage on that car or not. Talking about Keselowski, he just doesn't seem like he can really pull up to the car of Cindric in front of him quite as good as he was before.
Well, I think a lot of it is probably due to the 36 car. When those guys get going, the 36 car is not close enough to Brad.
Whoa, Denny Hamlin!
Denny. Will he move down? He's going to miss the block by his teammate. That is not at all what he wanted.
And McDowell pays the price. Wow, that was close.
That was a last-minute decision by him. He elected to go up, make that block. I know he didn't want to get off the bumper. His teammate Bell, though.
That almost wadded up the whole field.
Including that McDowell that was going to start on the front row Sunday.
Late block.
That was as close as it gets.
And when Denny went up to make that block, it was in the worst spot it could be going into the tri-oval, and then Michael McDowell had to lift, and there was so much momentum, and almost just pushed him out of line from the front and the back. Big push by the 2. See the 2, everybody lift just like the last wreck, and Michael McDowell went up to keep that wreck from happening.
Now he just can't quite get Bell up to him. I think he still wants to be down on the bumper of that teammate of his. Can he make that work?
Well, he's got 2 good pushers behind him in Austin Cindric and Brad Keselowski, so he might not be in a bad spot.
I'm not trusting those guys push come to shove in his last lap, though.
You can't.
McDowell has taken his front row starting car for Sunday out of harm's way, out of the lead draft. Keselowski in the middle now, under Cindric. And now 3x3x3, 4 rows deep. Wow.
It worked right in Denny's favor, though. He found that bumper of his teammate. They're split up 3 wide behind him. Watch them guys take off.
Yeah, and that wound up hurting Brad and Austin Cindric. They went all the way to the back after A.J. Allmendinger pulled down to the bottom lane.
And in the back, Gralla and McLeod battling for the last spot in the field. Deep in the pack, last next to the last row.
It shows you how much a 3 wide scenario slows down that line and just the effect that it made.
There they are, battling for the Daytona 500. Kaz Gralla must finish ahead of these other 2 cars or he goes home.
It's going to come down to help. Who can get help behind them?
McLeod holding his own, moving up. And once again, we're going to come to the white flag. Brought to you by Credit One Bank, as Denny Hamlin leads them toward the checkered flag, and this battle to qualify is just as good as race 1.
This outside line's forming. These Fords are going for it. Big time push by Cindric into Harrison Burton. Here they come. You see Bell move up and slow that momentum, Kevin.
Yeah, he blocked the Fords there with the momentum, and he's going to try to use that. And Denny Hamlin with another aggressive block, and Bell right back in front of the 21.
Almost too aggressive. Not almost. It was too aggressive. Got him down. The momentum goes to the outside with Bell.
Burton just couldn't squeeze down, so Cindric does. Goes underneath Harrison Burton, and it's Austin Cindric chasing Christopher Bell for the win. Gralla, McLeod right together side by side. One of them makes it. One of them goes home. Here we come to the line. Christopher Bell's going to win it. Second is Cindric, and making the Daytona 500 appears to be Kaz Gralla.
Harrison Burton was really hoping he was going to get that help and stay with him off of 4 by Cindric. Cindric went for it on the bottom.
He's not going to be happy about that.
No.
You know, I think being on the same team, I think Harrison Burton is going to be severely unhappy with Austin Cindric.
Yeah, I think rightfully so.
Gralla 12th, McLeod 14th.
100% luck, Adam. That's hard work and studying there, buddy. Great job, boys. Great.
Denny went for a big block. That was a lot of momentum. He jerked that wheel, tried to get down in front of them, almost kind of forced him to go to the outside, really, Kevin.
Yeah, because it looked like he was just coming at him with such a rate of speed that he had to go where he wasn't and wound up being able to go right by him.
Played right in his hand.
It really did.
Toyota finishes 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Ford's 2nd and 5th. Chevrolet 6th. And first, let's look at the race to the flag.
Yeah, and you see the 11 is out there a little bit, and Christopher Bell up on the top of the racetrack, and he's going to get a really good push. Well, it's not that great of a push, but when Denny pulls that car down so hard, it just takes that momentum, and he was able to go up on the outside and carry on with the 21 and the 2. But
pretty much forced to.
Yeah, he was forced to do that.
Oh, Cindric, very aggressive move to try to get a shot at the win. And just as in race 1, the winner leads only the final lap.
Whew. Got me excited. That's good racing, guys.
Now, let's show the battle to race in. McLeod up top, Gralla down low. Bubba Wallace in the middle. Already locked into the 500. Where do you go? Where is there room? Where can you run? And it was that close. Kaz Gralla, whose car did not even turn a qualifying lap last night. He downshifted it instead of upshifting it. The motor blew. They replaced the engine. He races here tonight into the 500. Jamie Little.
Well, Christopher Bell has officially, he's looking for a child to give that winning flag to. He's pointing him out right now. Christopher, we talked about it over and over again, but you've won on every style of track in NASCAR, but a super speedway race. What does this one do for your confidence going into the big one on Sunday?
Yeah, it feels good. These plate races, man, they're, I don't know what to think of them. Me and Adam Stevens, my crew chief, we have a running joke that I always say these races are 100% luck. And I know that that's not true, but it seems like we've been struggling to get to the end of it, and I know I've been a common denominator in a lot of the wrecks, so it feels good to do everything right today.
Well done.
Thank you.
Denny Hamlin comes home third in duel number 2, trying your best to hold off Christopher Bell. What more did you need at the end, and what did you learn?
Probably just needed to cover the top there a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it was a really good move by him, and getting the momentum that it started to get stirred up there behind him. And we're trying everything we can to block both lanes, and you just can't. You got to pick one. And really, just good solid day, and got some information to learn from, and we'll go race here on Sunday.
Thanks, Denny. Regan?
Well, it's quite the roller coaster ride for Kaz Grala. Last night, of course, the troubles, and then you come here tonight. Looks like you're going to be okay. You lose the draft, then you get the draft back with the yellow flag. Somehow you raced your way into the Daytona 500. How are those nerves right now?
Oh, man, I'm just coming down from it, but that was so much more stressful than it needed to be for us. For a little while there, we looked to be in good shape, and then, we had some trouble there. Pit road, we weren't able to stay with the draft. So just really proud of everybody at Front Row Motorsports. They worked so hard the last 24 hours to get our car ready to race today. We had some troubles yesterday, so really cool to be able to get it in the show for them. This is a big opportunity for me here, so excited to be here on Sunday again.
Have fun Sunday. Thanks, Kaz.
The Boston native makes the Daytona 500. Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick win their respective blue-green dual races, both by leading only the final lap. Sure, there are heroes in Daytona, like Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell, the dual winners tonight. Here is the starting lineup for Sunday's Daytona 500. Joey Logano, Michael McDowell locked in, kept their cars intact, preserved their front row starting spots. Then the dual winners, and the way they finished from there on back.
Well, the thing that I was nervous about going into tonight were the Toyotas, but man, did they ever prove me wrong?
Don't worry about the Toyotas anymore.
Yeah,
They're going to be just fine.
I hear you.
You know, a lot of these cars tore up. You know, look at Kyle Busch, 2 years in a row, tore up race car. Didn't matter. He went right back to that 500 backup car and made the difference.
And now you've got a couple practice sessions to be able to work on your car. Hopefully tomorrow, maybe only one if the weather comes in. And you have to take what you did tonight and be able to make that into good changes with your car from a handling standpoint.
So there are heroes, there are celebrations, but there's also heartbreak tonight. Josh.
Yeah, and B.J. McLeod comes up just short of making it into the Daytona 500 after an absolute battle there with Kaz Grala. What are the emotions you're feeling right now?
Yeah, you know, most people be let down right now, but I'm just happy because I've seen what this little team can do. Like, we've got 10 full-time or 9 full-time people now between Xfinity and Cup, and they put this car together with no manufacturer support, no help of any kind. ECR power is the only reason we had a real chance here, and my guys did an awesome job building me an awesome car for the draft. We were a little bit off in qualifying, but the way it drove in the draft, it was worth it. I had a blast, got up there and raced, and got to learn a lot and hopefully show some of the other drivers that we have good equipment and that we're here to race. So whenever the 78's around from here on out, we're here with good equipment, and we're here to see what we can do.
Thanks, BJ.
Yep, thank you.
Boy, B.J. McLeod and J.J. Yaley in race 1 made this a great show. So, what did we learn other than things happen fast up here?
Well, I learned a lot. I was a little bit overwhelmed with everything that was going on. I apologize for that, but it was intense. We tore up a lot of race cars. We have to work on the things that we have to do from a handling perspective. The Toyotas are fast. And what else, Clint?
Fords. Talked about Toyota's got a new body, right? They got a new body. Check the list off. We're slow on qualifying. Sure showed the speed when the time was right and the money's on the line. The Fords. This new body on the new Mustang, the Dark Horse, not quite as good as we've seen in the last couple of years. Was it handling? Was it too tight? Something like that? An aero balance? Something? Maybe practice will show us some speed out of them. Strength is in numbers. They still have that. Can they use it on Sunday?
The one car that I really like tonight, and I think we agree on this, which is going to be rare, I've learned, is how well the 5 car could push. I love the way that the 5 car could push. It seemed like the Hendrick cars that ran had a little better handling than they had in the last couple of years, so that'll be interesting to see that progress on Sunday.
Great. I love that. Always had the speed with the Hendrick camp. Showed that with qualifying year after year after year. Didn't set on the pole this year. All of a sudden, here's the handling and that long run speed that they're looking for in a 500-mile race.
Quickly, anything you saw you didn't expect tonight?
Well, I saw a huge wreck. I think as the race progressed and the pushing and shoving became more important, they started pushing and shoving, and next thing you know, we had a wreck. So we tore up a lot of cars.
I am Kevin Harvick. Well, he's Kevin Harvick, but that's what airs next right here on FS1, and we hope you enjoy it. Here's tomorrow on FS1, Truck Series qualifying, lots of practice, and then the Truck Series race tomorrow night, all on FS1. I am Kevin Harvick. Next, right here on Fox Sports. Hope you enjoyed it. I know Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell did. They each led 1 lap and each ended up in victory lane in the Blue-Green Vacations Duel at Daytona.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.